and we're off and running. Bouanga. The league's top sharpshooter scores again. 2-0 LAFC.
What up, Eric?
Hey.
Celso Oliveira, Section 128 Fugazi. Blast it.
Oh, man, I grew up with this album.
Let's go, Eric.
Hey.
All right, let's take it easy with this here. I'm getting too excited. Section
You are.
128. We are here for one more. Oh, shit, this shit keeps going. My bad on that.
You promised no technical
I'm sorry about that. It has to
difficulties.
have one little thing. But listen, guys, we're excited to be here. Of course, we're trying to keep it cool. We're trying to keep it light. Another Monday, and we're here for a show live. Hopefully not anything is going to go wrong today other than our team shitting the bed. They didn't this weekend, but we do have a game on to talk about Minnesota during the week. And then Carson, we may not be talking about this one today, but we do have a packed show, a lot of news to break down. Eric, how are you doing, my friend? Straight from Oklahoma City. What's going on? What did you think of the game this weekend, buddy?
Yeah, it was it was a game. We won it 2-0. I would like to see us look better, but we won 2-0, so obviously this game is going to be one that affects how the rest of our season goes, but we'll get into that when the time is right.
100%. We're going to get into the Dallas game, as I mentioned earlier. After that, may have a couple of different things that we normally don't do here. Definitely going to talk transfer news. Gio Reyna apparently is the hot name of the moment. And then we will break down the Looms game on Wednesday, a midweek game for us again. It's going to be a busy summer for LAFC. We're going to be tested in many ways with our players, and especially the depth that we have. A lot of these guys are going to be called upon. But look, the energy on the stadium was good. It was what you expect from an LAFC game on the weekend. I love it. I love to see LAFC show up. LA, it's fun. Good energy on the stadium and on the field. What you expect against one of the bottom teams on the Western Conference, Eric. Let's break down the first half real quick. We just saw the goals there. I think both goals came in the first half. So we look comfortable. We look like we were the winning team. Breakdown for me, this first half with Ordaz, of course, finding the back of the net. He's really become the slickest player for us, but maybe you can talk a little bit about what you saw in that first half with the 2-0 lead.
Yeah, I love to see Ordaz scoring. I think he's one of my favorite players on this team right now, and ever since last preseason at Coachella, and you saw that he put on some muscle, like he looked like he went from a boy to a man, and he's starting to play soccer like a man. And man, what a great turn, off-footed finish, slotted in the corner, in a first half that we didn't have a ton of opportunities at. It was kind of, and that's a consistent thing. We just don't get a ton of opportunities attacking on this team. So when you do get those opportunities, you have to finish them, and Ordaz definitely finished his. But on the positive side, our defense looks really solid. Dallas really didn't threaten us with anything the first half at all. They looked like they would struggle just to even kind of like hold the ball. So on this aspect, we are a defensive team. We play very defensively, but it really worked out last game because again, we really neutralized Dallas from doing anything with the ball. In the first half, things changed a bit in the second half, but in the first half, midfield control, defense knocked down anything that came their way, and they sprung a couple attacks and made it work.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, I think someone here on the chat said they had given up. Dallas had given up way before this season or this game started, and he kind of showed it a little bit. It's a team that really struggled, find any form this year. Everything they've tried did not work out. It looks like a really bad team, to be honest. So LAFC just came down and put the clamp down on them. And even when they do that, it's never going to be a 5-6 nothing game. It's going to be 2-0 tight. Any of those promotions, if you score a bunch of goals, you get free shit. They're not working out for us very well. I think we got free chicken this time, but the 3-scoop deal, it hasn't been happening for us very much. We've been extremely weak on that side, but win is a win, and the 3 points matter. A couple of things, defensive shout out, like I said, only one shot on target allowed. That's really good. Lloris basically just had to sit there and take it. Bouanga with 2 goal participations. He had the penalty kick. He's becoming a little bit of a penalty master guy, but he did get the assist.
It was his 10th goal of the season and his 5th penalty goal.
Look, penalties are part of the game, and he's taking care of business, and that's all we really care about.
He earns those kicks. It's not like other people are earning them. I think he's earned at least the majority of his penalty kicks came from himself. So.
Absolutely. A lot of power. It's funny that the one they got stopped was against Flamengo, right? So it's like, I get it, but like Martin Pais, extremely good goalkeeper, forced into 8 saves according to the stat sheet just in the second half. So this game could have been a lot bigger on the second half, right, Eric? I mean, it could have been 3-4. Pais was just there, and our attackers just weren't 100%. I would say motivated, maybe taking the foot out. But look, man, I got to ask you about Aaron Long. The reports are not good coming out of the camp there. It seems like he picked up a big knock. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, it looked bad. I kind of rewatched the replay today just to see the other players. And, there's a couple things you could tell right away. Palencia kind of hand over the mouth, said something and shook his head. So I think the players in the field knew it was bad. I saw a rumor that came out today that it was an ACL. I know a lot of people in the stands looked and thought maybe it was an Achilles. Both of these are very big, devastating injuries that tend to take close to a year to really fully recover from. Also, it was when Delgado came off. They showed him talking to one of the coaches on the side, and he kind of gave a motion to his knee and shook his head as well. So it seems like the rumor that it's an ACL. I mean, based on this other anecdotal evidence, and we're talking 9-10 months out. He'll be back in next April. As far as the game, the shots, Pius had a great game. Abobasi had that one deflection off the crossbar. We didn't put one in, but after Long went out, Dallas had a couple clear chances. Musa had 2 misses that he really, he could have came back and they could have tied this game. And I think a better team, a more informed team would have came back and tied this game. And I know it's difficult throwing a center back in at the 76th minute on an injury like that. But we basically have Tafari and Segura now, and that's that. They're going to get they're not really going to get any time to really gel because it's a midweek game. And as Trundolo said, when you have these 2 games in a week, there's really no time to practice or drill. You kind of just you play, you recover, you go to the next game. So
yeah, I know, and it's hard to see a little bit, but you could see what the starting lineup was for this game against Dallas. Very standard lineup for us with Hollingshead and Palencia in the middle with Aaron Long and Segura. Of course, the midfield with Tim Tillman, the jack of all trades that we're still not 100% what he's responsible for. Igor Jesus and Marky Delgado, which has been having an excellent season. We need to talk about him a little bit. And up front, I think what is our best 3 by far. I love this group here. I think it is the best group. Durosan, Ordaz in the middle. You said how well he's earned this position. The ghost of Giroud gone, so there's no more of that discussion. And Denis Bouanga, essentially on the left. So I love that. I think that was until that minute what we should be starting every game. So I know it's a little bit of a revisionist history question here, but how big does the Marlon free agency and departure now look to you, Eric? And I know you're a big fan of him.
No, I was upset the moment that I saw he got let go. I think Marlon is every bit the center back that Long is, and I think having him there, I mean, just really locks it down. I'm not sure why he didn't get more minutes than he did. That's kind of whatever it is. Obviously, Trundle has a much better view of everything than I have, but there's some personnel things that he just seems to not play guys that when I watch him play, I'm like, why isn't that guy playing all the time? And Marlon was definitely one of them.
Yeah, I see that too.
The quality was there. His duels were good. He had a great long ball pass as well. And maybe that's part of it is just his distribution was just not a way that Trundle liked, because he really likes to create the turnovers, and that seems all kind of happen on the wing, not centrally, which I think is why we kind of recycle the balls up the wings so much. I think he's trying to win some sort of transition or kind of bait into a transition, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm just kind of speculating, kind of polishing the turn, because I'm not super psyched on the LAFC attack, so I'm trying to see what could be the good in it. But Marlon is just, I think letting him go now especially hurts. But
I mean, you can't make decisions not knowing. You can only make decisions knowing what you know, right? And if JT would have known that his captain and center back would have picked up a major injury, whether he's out for 6 months or 6 weeks, it's still a major injury that's going to get you in the bulk of the season. So it's going to hurt no matter what. It's a pretty bad one for LAFC, no matter how you see it. But the truth is that he made, and he was going to make in Ukraine what probably is a lot higher salary than what he would make in MLS, whether it's here or another team. So Marlon probably had a choice to cut his salary down. It's not an easy choice, and a lot of guys choose to, choose the money. I get it. They have shorter careers, and there was other circumstances, I guess, with the Ukraine war trade clauses that we don't understand that didn't allow this move to materialize. But the question now is, do you roll with Safari, Eric, or do you go to the market now there's a window coming up and spend money on another player for that position, right? Let's say he is out of the season, out for the season. Would you go out there and spend, or would you give Tafari and maybe Della Valle a chance here for the remainder of the season?
They absolutely have to go to the market. I think they have to go to the market for two center backs at this point, because we have Maxime Chanot, who has had a head injury basically since February. So, I don't know what's going on with him. There's a lot that I don't know, but what I do know is that guy hasn't really seen the field all season, despite putting a pretty heavy workload last season. So, I don't think he's a viable backup right now, which means basically you have Tafari and Segura. There's nobody else. Lorenzo seemed to be back from his injury. He had a bad injury as well. He seems to be having trouble coming out of it. But, just like Chanot, what's there to rely on in that? It's like if Tafari or Segura get a knock and they can't play, all of a sudden what are we doing?
I know what we're doing. We're pulling Palencia in the middle and rolling Smolyakov and rolling Hollinsad and going 3-back. That's what I would do. A 5-back or Palencia, one of the threes, with Smolyakov being.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. I mean, that's just my opinion.
And this is like
maybe
the best.
It's the one thing that could change this system.
This is like the best of all bad choices. It's still a bad choice.
It's not a good choice.
It's not how you go through you run through the last part of the season going into the playoffs. This doesn't work. So they need to. Good. No, they need to pick up a good starting caliber center back. They need to find a guy that, I guess, what they hoped Marlon would be, but he wasn't able to be for them. Like somebody on Long's level, You know, Segura's been playing good as well. I mean, I think Segura can go on that level, but somebody that
it's
three starting level guys. You have to have 3 starting level center backs. If something happens to another one, like, we're pretty much fucked. So we need that, and then we need a guy like, you know, like an Ibiaga or like a Tafari, another Tafari, or like a Chanot level that's kind of like a good solid bench guy. You know, if they have to start 4 or 5 games in a row, you can manage it, but also, you know, guys you don't want running through the whole season. So I think we need an absolute starter, and we need a guy that's like right on the margins, like as good of a bench guy as we can find.
I hear you. Let's see what JT will do. He's not a guy to react, especially to injuries, but in this case, I think it's worth considering it, given that we're suddenly extremely thin in a position. We just lost our 2 most valuable players in that position, and
there's no choice.
It's scary to think
again,
we're going to be rolling the rest of the season with who we are. I mean, maybe there isn't, but maybe there isn't guys out there that JT wants to spend a lot of money. So it might just be someone that comes in just to finish the season without too much, riding on the ropes of that, right? So these short-term deals seem to be one of our specialties. Again, Eric, it was a season that for a lot of fans is turning sour. People are very unhappy with the Dolo situation and the fact that we're just sort of this limbo team that doesn't finish and is sort of living in this mid-tier level, perennially underachieving. I think people are really fed up of this.
100%.
This attitude.
100%. This is, look, a lot of LAFC fans, not so much me, but other ones, have been watching this game their whole life, you know, and they've been watching other leagues their whole life. And, you know, I think you can challenge anybody to find an instance where after a bad run by a coach in some important games, instead of getting fired or stepping down, says that he's going to continue coaching for another 7 months until the season ends and then he's going to leave. Find me one instance in the entire world where this has ever happened before, you know, and it's
Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah. No, did he do that too?
Yeah, well, they kept Peter Vermes for probably a year longer than he needed to be.
Yeah, but he didn't announce. He didn't announce he was leaving like 6 months before. Like he just left.
In fact, he doubled down and said, "Fuck it, this is my boat, and I'm going down with it."
It's not serious. And like, if there's one thing I think with MLS fans, we are like begging for our league to be taken more seriously, and like things like this is kind of clownish. Like, it's not what serious teams and serious leagues like do.
I understand. I think sometimes we have a little bit of an expectation problem with LAFC because we were so successful to begin with, and we had that ridiculous 2019 that set us up for thinking that we were one of the best teams out there, and we are. We have been consistently in the conversation for that. We've gotten some national and international recognition for that. Our supporters travel, you know, when others don't. So there's a lot of things that we are doing right that other teams are not, right?
We can attract players because of Los Angeles.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we're not going to oscillate sometimes and not win that many games, you know. And I think sometimes it's a little bit unfair when we're not crushing it, but we're having a decent year after year and having finals against really tough opponents, knowing what we know about Major League Soccer, a very flawed system. So,
yeah,
I'm being an apologist because people think, you know, for whatever reason, I'm being a homer of the team or whatever, you know, and I just feel like the expectations sometimes are a little crazy, especially with Cherundolo, man. Like, look at the winning percentages for the active coaches, and he has one of the best ones out there. So outside of the guy in Cincinnati, which is probably the best guy, and we're not going to get him, and you know, and Wilfred Nancy, which I think we could get if we put some money in front of him. You know, who else is going to do what he's done? So, and the last thing I'll say about my little rant on coaches, it's like it could get worse. You know, I think look at Dallas. Dallas got rid of their coach. FC Austin picked them up, and FC Austin looks like a contender. You know what I'm saying? They look like they're going to win a title this year. With, oh, by the way, all of our former players, Ilya Sanchez, Diego Palacios, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just saying that, careful what you wish for, because the next guy might make your team worse. You know what I'm saying? And Dolo made the team better after Bob Bradley left.
No, certainly, but if the next guy comes in and makes it worse, you fire him too, and you go right through
You
it.
said it.
Like how there's teams that go through 3 coaches in a year, and but
Yes.
to your point, like you were saying, we do want this team to win all the time. Is that realistic? No, because of the salary cap. It's something that has to go in cycles, and I've talked about this for a couple of years on the show. When you have bankable TAM that rolls over, you get it every year and you can roll it over, and you have your GAM which doesn't. You do have to go through years where you kind of like pull back. You don't spend. You do things like you play the kids, and then you bank TAM for like a year, and then you make that big spend to push for the cup, and then whether it goes or doesn't, then you have to ease that TAM back down, lick your wounds, and you have to accumulate. But you kind of need to make pushes. You can't push every single season like that. It's not how this team is set up. You have to work the salary cap. But
shout out to Henry. We see a lot of familiar faces. Henry, I haven't heard of seeing you before, but it's a great comment. FC Mesh is achieving for greatness. Right now, they're settling with Dolo, and I see, and that's the key of the sentiment, is the fact that people feel like we're settling. Like, hey, it's like the girlfriend. She's got it. She's doing well. She messes up a few times, but deep down you could do better. You know what I mean? And you're just settling for that girl. Meanwhile, there's more fish in the sea, and you could be doing more with others. So I totally understand the sentiment, but you never know what that other person's going to have on the closet, right? You might start dropping points at home and making stupid decisions and forcing your guys in training and not trying to connect them personally. Things that I think this particular coaching staff does well, right? So, which is why I'm like, hey, if we're not horrible, I would give Razov the reins and let it ride. Let it fucking ride. And people are going to hate that because they want a new sexy name. They want something cool. They want something different. They want something that scores a lot of goals. But I'm just going to be honest with you, man. Like, it's MLS. We can't go through three coaches in a year. But I will say that you get the right coach, things work. Mike Vera is in San Diego. Looks like the right guy. He comes from the U.S. system. Very good coach. The guy, the little guy in Nashville. I forgot his name. He's a little chubby dude. Very good coach as well. He's crushing it.
Callahan at Chicago.
Yeah, Big J, BJ Callahan. Thank you. So, if the coach is serious and they do a good job, there's a chance that you're going to succeed when Chiellini is your owner and John Thornton, which is proven to be very competent, is your GM, and a lot of people don't like him, and LAFC is willing to spend, which is kind of the last question, Eric. Is LAFC willing to spend money? We already know that Thomas Muller is not coming because they don't want to pay the salary, right? We also know that the guys that we tend to spend money on are speculative dudes that we want to return on, like Stipe Buke and such. Davi Martinez is the last one. So are we going to spend money to bring a caliber player that will require $10-15 million? We just made $10 million in this damn FIFA Club World Cup that was given it to us in a silver platter. So talk to me about what LAFC should do from a money spending standpoint, because no matter the coach, man, you're going to be better equipped here than anywhere else.
Yeah, man. This is where it gets tough because we didn't really get into Gio Reyna, so let's kind of look at that. Like, what kind of transfer would he be coming in? Like, could he be that big player? And let's say Gio Reyna is a guy that's going to take a big transfer fee to come over. I'm not quite sure on the particulars of that, but let's just use him as an example, even if he doesn't. How is the next coach going to utilize him? Because, for example, with Gio Reyna, he's kind of a 10, but we don't play with a 10. Like, what's Dolo going to do with him? Can Gio Reyna press like an 8, like Tillman and Delgado? Like, I don't think he's that kind of player. He has played up at right wing at times, which I think probably would make the most sense that we'd end up getting him as a winger. And is that really the best use for him on the team? Well, with Dolo's system, it's kind of the only place he can plug in. I just don't see him wanting to bench Tillman or Delgado for him. And I don't see him wanting to bench Igor Jesus for him either. So it kind of is like, what are you going to do with him? So
you got to play him up front. You 100% play up front. You would just probably get rid of Giro's son, and he would be by default a right wing with Vela-esque ways to become a false nine, which Vela did really well late in his career with a great pass, right? The question is, like, there's always a scapegoat in these situations, and I think in this one, the biggest loser is David Martinez. No?
Yeah, no, 100% is the biggest loser. And, it gets, like you said, the one place that they do like to invest is the younger guys. Brian Rodriguez is another one. I think he's still the record transfer we have when he was 20 years old coming from Uruguay. Diego Rossi, not a huge spend, but we paid a few million for him. So, do you bring him in and you ice out your prospect that you're trying to get a bunch for? And, I love David Martinez, but what has David Martinez shown us since he's been on this team? I mean, he's had he's had 2 years here in the team, and he just hasn't broken out yet to be that guy. So it really raises some questions. What do you do? But I also think back to this, like, are they big spenders? They haven't yet busted the bank on anybody. But is this the right year and right time to do it? I think especially with a long injury, there's so much flux in this that at this point, like, the smart play and the not very sexy play is to kind of lick your wounds, get experience to guys who are kids. We have some pretty exciting prospects on LAFC too. De La Valle, Lorenzo is one that hasn't quite came in. Maybe it's time to roll him out there, even if it means we drop some points. I think Jude Terry is also a really exciting prospect that we have in our LAFC too. Who I think his style also doesn't quite fit so much with Dolo ball, but if we get him in for a little bit as well, and you look, if you get that opportunistic signing that is that guy that we can get without breaking the bank, like you take him. But I think forcing something right now on a season that this team is not a contender, it would be pretty fluky if we end up in the cup final this year, I think. So to me, it's like you roll that over and you make that push next season. If you get the pieces in, if they fall into place now, and that's what you do, so you can follow that cycle and maximize the effectiveness of the salary cap.
Yeah, just to recap on Gio Reyna, I mean, like, high potential, U.S. men's national star pedigree. His game in Bundesliga with 3 assists in 2020. I still remember that game. We all thought he was gonna pop. Extremely creative player. He's got a little bit of a dog in him, which I like. He shows his emotions on the field. I think we need this kind of caliber for this league to grow. Currently valued at $18 million with Borussia Dortmund, but he's at the end of his contract. The contract will end in the middle of 2026. Obviously, the injury concerns, massive amount of bench time at Dortmund. He's not playing. Contract ending in 12 months now. So not a ton of time on this contract. Contracts towards the end, you're not worth $20 million anymore. That contract has lost its validity. So the player might be worth that much, but he might become a free agent next year, and then you get $0. So, we have $10 million to spend, Eric. I mean, is MLS, first off, a good reset for this kid? And would you, just yes or no, man, would you spend $10 million on this guy knowing he has a market value of 18?
Yeah. I think if we can get him for $10 million, I think that makes sense.
Right? Not in the winter. You take it now.
Yeah.
You make it happen.
Oh, yeah. Because if you're picking a guy up like him, I mean, he's 22 years old. Like, he's still really young.
He's a very young dude. I don't know if he's 22. Let me see here. I'm on Well, yeah, no, he's 22. He's like a young pup. In fact, you can make him. I don't know. No, you can't make him U22 anymore because he's 22, right? So
Yeah,
he's a
I
22
think
year old.
his
You don't
salary
need
would be.
that.
I think there is a limit, an upper limit on the
So
salary.
he, you know, you would need to bring him as a DP, right?
Yeah, no, of course you would need to bring him in as a DP for sure. You'd also have to amortize the transfer, so that makes sense. And for a guy like him, if he's 22, we're going to sign him to like a 3+1 at least, if not like
right.
a 4+1. So it's going to be a long contract, and that really also like breaks down any transfer fee as well.
Yes.
You know, if it's so, you know, his only concern is injury and obviously locker room, you know, and those are big things. LAFC's done a really good job at keeping a good locker room, but you know, he has been disruptive at far bigger, you know, clubs with much higher payrolls than ours. So, you know, what kind of attitude does he have? I think the attitude is going to be key. More than anything, even more than the injury concerns, I think is going to be attitude and whether he's coming here to grind. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know enough about this. There's only speculative rumors about him, but he has definitely been trouble in locker rooms for other teams, especially the national team.
I think it makes sense. By the way, it's a guy that never truly played in the United States. He left to Dortmund as a U19 from the NYCFC academy. So, you know, he's never really spent time in the United States system. And I think it can help him get back on his feet. LAFC as a right winger might be actually a really good fit for him because he's going to be asked to do less, right? If you think about, you know, especially if you have Bouanga on the other side. Now you have an attack that is really balanced in both ways, and you're not asking Gio Reyna to be the primary feeder of your attack, and yet he can be extremely dangerous, cutting through the middle. He's very tall, so you obviously have a threat inside of your box, and you have a guy that can naturally play right wing under this system. So I personally think it'd be a really good thing for us. It'd be a good thing for American soccer to repatriate this kid. And LAFC, you know, we're in LA. We have some of the best doctors in the world here. If this guy's going to be healthy, it's going to be with us. But it has to be, like you said, for the right price. But the talent is there. I mean, some of the numbers, dude, some of the things that this guy has done, you know, it's impressive. I mean, like in Nations League, in the last 3 finals, this is finals at big balls, right? 1 goal and 1 assist in the Nations League against Mexico, 2 assists against Canada, and he subbed against because of injury, and he has the goal in Nations League against Mexico again. So the guy is a playmaker, plays the 10, and can play the right wing for us. I think it's a shoe-in for us. Let's spend the $10 million on this guy. That's my vote.
I'd be happy. Yeah. I agree. If we can pull him, bring him in, I'd be very happy about it.
All right, man. Let's look ahead to Minnesota United, the game midweek. Look, they look really good. This is a real team. I know that you were trying to go to Minnesota for this game, but personal, you know, shit happens, life happens. You're not going, but it is another midweek short rest kind of game where we might have to rotate some pieces. We're going in the road. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about the team going through the motions here, continue what is going to be a very busy season leading to the El Tráfico this weekend, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we played them at home this spring, didn't we?
Yes, first game of the season. In fact, first game of the season we had at BMO was the Looms. We won 1-0, and then Nate the Great, I think, scored with a goal. Setting up what it was going to be our season of slim pickings and Nate finding space.
Yeah, and I think their team they picked up some new guys this year. They're kind of a counter-attacking, big and physical and fast team. So this is really going to be kind of the difficulty with them is they'll capitalize on mistakes, and they've done a good job at this. And this is also going to be home for them. And then they have Will Trapp as a solid leading guy back there. Robin Lod has been a pretty solid midfielder, and Pereira also has been a good playmaker back there for them. And yeah,
They just destroyed the San Jose Quakes, bro. Like 4-1.
Yeah.
I didn't watch this game, but it was not close. I think San Jose obviously were reeling in from their big loss in the Open Cup, so I get it. But guess what? In the Open Cup, they crushed Chicago just a few days before. So these guys are hot, especially at home. They got it going on, bro. Like the last loss that I see here. Oh shit! I'm like going back and back and back. At home, it hasn't happened. They have been hot as it get at home, man. They've crushed Inter Miami 4-1 in May, and I keep scrolling up, and I don't see a loss from these guys. Oh, found one. Vancouver, April 27th, 3-1. Minnesota loses to Vancouver, a team that has been hot, was really hot at the time, right? But ever since, buddy, it's just been slap after slap at home. I'm sorry. They did lose to San Diego, which is, top of the conference, 4-2 in June. But outside of that, man, they've been perfect at home. What do you expect at the game? Let's just be honest here. Do you expect LAFC to show up or, do the typical we don't really play when we go away kind of thing?
I think losing Aaron Long is really going to crush us on this game because Kelvin Yeboah and Oluwaisi are both just big, fast, physical, strong guys. And Segura is an undersized center back. He's going to have trouble dealing with the physicality. Tafari is a more physical guy. I think he'll be a little better. But we're really undersized against these guys. And Julian Gressel going over this well is one of the best crossing fullbacks in the game. Good. He's a guy I wish we could have gotten Julian Gressel, especially when we had Giroud. I think we would have a much different look. But, it's going to be a tall order, and I think this is going to be a real tough game to come out with much against because Minnesota is just really sound defensively, and their counterattack is really brutal. And since that first game, I think they've really understood each other and how to play as a team. And not to mention as well that St. Clair is probably one of the better goalies in the league as well.
True that. And look, you have another game on Saturday or Sunday against Carson at home, so you may as well kind of put a secondary kind of rotated lineup there. You've kind of rolled these guys hard for the last two games and maybe kind of, save some of your ammo for the Tráfico because no matter what is on the other side of the field, they're going to bring it. So, what do you think in terms of lineup here, Eric? We started goalkeeper. To me, there's no harm in starting Lloris. I think he's probably the only little piece of leadership or true leadership that we have in that back line. But would you, in any way, shape, or form, alter the goalkeeper position? Would you start Lloris? And also, tell me who would you start in the back now since we don't have Aaron Long? What would you do with the defense?
We're going to need Hollingshead, and I think Hollingshead is going to have to stay back a little more. I don't think he can get as adventurous because Tafari and Hollingshead are now our physical guys in the back. Segura is just not. He's just not going to be the most physical guy against them. He's a bit outpowered. So and Palencia as well. He's also not a big guy for being on the back line. So those two strikers we're going to have to contain them. And it's just kind of one of those games. We're just not a big, strong, physical team, and we're playing a team that basically they're just trying to abuse the physicality they have. So this is what we're going to have to really try to come up with. I think we're going to have to do a lot of tactical fouling. We're going to need to really slow this game down when Minnesota has the ball. I think this is we're going to have to really ugly up this game to come through.
Kind of game, baby. Woo!
Yeah,
ugly wins.
We're not so great at it. We got Igor Jesus. He can do it. He knows the assignment. But that's going to be it. Can we do this? I think this is one of those games we really try to grind out a draw. We also play a counterattack, so I think a lot of this game is just going to be kind of like knocking the ball back and forth in the midfield on each other, I think neither team is going to have a ton of chances, but I do think Minnesota's going to get better chances than we get. But if we can get one against the run of play, maybe we can come out with a result. So I'm really just hoping for 1 point out of this game.
Yeah, you're pretty hopeful, and you didn't answer my question directly, which is the defense itself. I would roll the 5 back, dude. I've talked about it a little bit earlier.
Who's our third? Wait.
All right. Sorry? No, I would push Palencia to the middle as a center back, which we've seen that look before. And then you kind of anchor Smolyakov, right, with Hollinshead on the right. But your center back is now Sergi Palencia, and I don't think it's gonna happen. We're probably gonna try to just roll Tafari and Segura in the back. I don't think we should do that. I think you need, again, Sergi in that as the third center back, and now you allow Hollinshead and Smolyakov to go forward a little bit, because when this team doesn't have the fullbacks cutting inside of the wingers, it's not working, right? And our kryptonite is when those guys go forward and we can't stop their countering. And then and if the defense is weak without Aaron Long in there, it's going to be much easier to penetrate that defense. So I would roll with the 5 in the back and then go from there. But
I think based on who we have, we create too many mismatches that way. Like I don't think our personnel is at all correct to run 5 in the back. I think we need the extra midfielder, and we're just going to have to try to use that midfielder to keep more possession this game. Like, I think this is a game we really got to try to keep just smart possession of the ball, not do too much, and just play super boring. Like I said, when we turn it over, foul, and that's it. And just if we can grind out a 0-0, great. But, yeah, we just can't give Minnesota opportunities. And I think having 3 in the back, we lose control of the midfield, which is going to give Minnesota much more of the ball. And, we're basically going to be defending the whole game, and I just don't like the matchups.
Dude, they absolutely destroyed the Berhalter's Fire in that Open Cup game. If you guys watched it or not, 20. I just looked up the stats because I watched it and it was very one-sided. 3-1, 26 shots, 10 on target. We've had people talk about if the goalkeeper faces more than 5 shots on target on a game, that defense is not working. So these guys are playing real football out in the Western Conference. I don't think San Diego is that good, but I think Minnesota is. What they've been doing with their new coach, these guys that a lot of people don't know, is very impressive. It's quite amazing the turnaround that Minnesota has had. Shout out to that organization. I do not like what's coming out of this game.
They also have some pretty solid MLS veterans on that team. If you look at,
you mentioned a couple of them,
Will Trapp,
Boxall,
Robin Lou, Dressel, Boxall, like in St. Clair. It's like you have
one of the best goalkeepers in the game.
Yeah, those guys know this league. They've known this league for a long time, and that's a great recipe for success.
All right, man. So give me your let's do this. Give me the starting 11, assuming that you think someone's gonna get rotated, and then tell me what your scoring prediction for this game in Minnesota is gonna be. Your home state.
Yeah, Lloris. And then it's going to be Hollingshead, Segura, Tafari, Palencia. It's going to be Delgado, Igor Jesus, and it's going to be Timothy Tillman. It's going to be Denis Bouanga. It's going to be Nathan Ordaz. And where do we go?
Might as well start your the same guys that's staying, which is Gio on the right.
Yeah.
So you don't think there's going to be a change at all?
We're going to go with, no. I think Gio Reyna. I think the change comes after he sees how it goes. But I think that's what we got to roll with against Minnesota.
Fair enough. I disagree. I think the team had 2 straight games with this lineup, which also renders them kind of rotating a little bit, especially given that Carson's visiting this weekend, and we're already short on a couple positions. Maybe don't do the 3 in the back or the 5 in the back as I want, but If we do roll with the defense that you're suggesting, I still would like to see a couple of the depth pieces in there. Maybe it's a game for Yeboah to get some minutes in there. Yeboah and Bobis in the middle could get some minutes as well. I would start Martinez. There's no reason not to. You're all about playing the kids. Well, it's time to play him. If he's healthy, he should play and start. Again, Jurison has not shown me that much yet for me to think he's the absolute starter, but we've been winning with him, so it's hard to take that position away from him. But I think this is a game that you let him sit. At the same time, maybe it's a guy that needs every minute he can get in order to gain the confidence and the chemistry that he needs. So more than likely, you're going to see him starting this game as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what this starting lineup is going to look like and how much that reflects on the concerns for the weekend game against the Galaxy. You seem to believe that it does not matter. You put your best 11 now, and then you go to the Carson game thinking about that later.
Yeah, no, especially the Carson right now, they're just bad. It's a really bad team.
Ooh, man. I mean, they've been winning some games, though. They
won their second game of the year.
Okay, all right. Well, they're not getting smashed anymore. They're getting Ricky back.
No, that's
I
true.
hate this narrative that we're just going to walk all over these guys.
No, I'm not saying we're going to walk all over them, but I'm saying it's like...
We have to... I get you. You have to prioritize your best lineup against the best team.
Are you looking for us basically to rotate Minnesota and then go for the easy 3 points instead of trying to go for 4?
Yes, I think that given that you're going to get rolled by the best team in the West and your guys have played back-to-back when they haven't on, short rest, and you had all these minutes and you just lost your captain to an injury that could be linked to overplaying them, maybe you should rotate some guys. Yes, I believe so.
Well, this lineup is...
Imagine if Bouanga goes, bro. It's the fucking season over. And I know he's not going to say
that's
it.
All. But how is that different today than it would be last week?
Okay, you're very right. And now I'm speculating that overplaying guys leads to injuries, which it tends to. I don't know. I don't know what happened in this case. It was a non-contact injury. In a very awkward situation.
It happens.
It's just hard.
It happens. Yeah.
It happens. It's accidental. It's horrible. We've been really good about maintaining our key players healthy, so it's a big blow to our club. But big boy clubs deal with this shit, right?
The sports.
That's why we had Marlon. That's why we had Marlon. God damn it.
Is really good. They're really good. Or we've been incredibly lucky, but to not have more injuries, or again, the physio team is really good. I think it's probably a little of both, but I do think we have a good physio team, and I think they are good at not rolling guys out when they have their, they work. This is another one we talked in the past that they really use a lot of biometric data and analytical data to work on load management. It's not so much done by somebody's opinion looking at guys. They monitor their heart rate, their work rate, all that, and they all have it's almost like a pitch count in baseball on guys, where it's they know once they hit a certain number of miles ran, it's time to rest them, depending on how quickly they go through it. So that's
Bouanga's mileage odometer is constantly being just tweaked with to put that mileage down, because that motherfucker never sits. It's unbelievable. No, actually he did. He's had some minutes this past game.
They pulled him. They pulled him around the 80th.
So you're right. He typically gets subbed out in games and don't play. The key matchup here that I pulled would be Denis Bouanga against Anthony Markinick. A great pickup for them. They low key picked this kid up from San Luis City, and San Luis City is not very good. And he's been a very, very good player for them. 19 matches, 5 goals, 1 assist. And this kid is a center back. So very, very good player. And it's going to be him and Bouanga 101. And if we have any chance, we're going to have to find some attack outside of a Bouanga counter-strike, because these guys are not going to allow us to do what we want to do, which is an area in the middle of the field, which leads to him running around and getting in position to shoot in goal. I think that's very hard to do against a well-coached team like that. I could be wrong, but to me, just to say it real quick, I'm going to stick around. Also, I'm going to say that the score of this game, and I want to hear yours, it's going to be 2-0 Minnesota. So it's not going to look good for us. But I'm not going to read too much in this 2-0 because to me, it's just an over amount of games. And I would say that it's just too many minutes, right? And on the road, when it's MLS, you know how it works, right, Eric? We've talked about this. You go on the road, you're gonna lose. At some point, you're gonna lose. So, in this point, it's gonna be 2-0. What's your prediction here, buddy? Before we move on to our special segment of the show.
I so badly want to predict a draw for this game because we are going to play a good team now. We've had a run of some poor teams since we got back from playing Flamengo, but I do think Minnesota is going to take us 2-1 in this game. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Like I said, I really want to predict a draw on this game, but losing Aaron Long, it just gets hard.
And just to be clear, this is not an ACL injury. It's not an ACL injury. I have.
Did that just come out?
It came out. If you're watching this show, I'm telling you here, Aaron Long does not have an ACL injury. Aaron Long has an Achilles injury. He's going to be out for a very long time. But if you're listening to the show, I'm telling you it's a fact. Someone just told me that Aaron Long does not have a torn ACL, but he will be out for a long time with an Achilles injury. All right? Look, sometimes when you're friends with people and you don't shit on them and you don't yell at them and you don't talk shit about them, they're nice to you and they tell you things. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Eric, we like to do certain things here a little bit different. And one of the things we're going to say and we're going to do is talk a little bit about Brazilian soccer because guess what? It's our show. We like Brazilian soccer.
Yeah.
And, if you watch the Club World Cup, which thank God it ended because that thing was ridiculous from the beginning to the end, but it was fun, right? A lot of things are ridiculous and tacky and fun. It doesn't all have to be buttoned up and cool. But if you want to think about what was that tournament for the Americans that actually care to watch it, it was like, hey, guess what? There's soccer outside of Europe and outside of Major League Soccer and Liga MX. And, of course, the Brazilian teams showed up big time. And, we had to play one of them in Flamengo. We got to see a little bit of how that team operates. We saw Fluminense almost give it up and reach the finals. Of course, ran short. But what we wanted to talk a little bit is a couple of the players that we are seeing and are hearing that may be moving from their coaches and their teams in Brazil, and maybe they come to Major League Soccer. The first one, it's going to be easy because it's all over the news, and it's someone that we know really well. We meant to talk about this last week, but decided to talk about it today. But the news are that Diego Palacios is going to be coming back to join FC Austin on a loan. So he goes to Corinthians, and for anybody that doesn't know, he ends up with basically, 3 caps for Corinthians, not very much. Most of the time he injured. Corinthians has a major issue with us because LAFC apparently did not, I would say, play nice in disclosing injuries. I don't think you should disclose an injury of a free agent, but whatever. That's none of our business. But, talk to me about the fact that Corinthians has really decided to bring a lot of these guys from MLS to play in their rosters, but now, they're trying to repatriate some of the players that did not work out and offering them as loans, Diego being one of them. What do you think of what's going on with Corinthians, knowing how much you've watched them, knowing how much you've watched this league over the last year?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny enough, it reminds me a little bit of one of my favorite ex-LAFC players, Edward El Profe Atuesta, who was, same thing, went to Palmeiras, got hurt a little bit differently, but then got loaned back to us. And so looking at Palacios, and you said reporting injury. I've heard them rumored, but the thing is like how many Diego Palacios missed like one game his entire time at LAFC. Like the guy was healthy the entire time he was here. He left there as a free agent. He picked up his knee injury. It was within the first 15 minutes of his very first Paulista match, which is a state tournament that goes before the league. And that was it. He was gone. He had a surgery from whatever injury that was. They didn't really say what it was. It was not an ACL, but it was something, I think, with the cartilage or soft tissue. I don't quite 100% remember, so don't quote me on that one. But later on, this is in January this happened. And then June, he came back to training for maybe a week. And then it was reported that he needed to go back for a cleanup surgery. He never came back for the rest of the season. Didn't come back for the beginning of the season. Started training a little bit, and seems like a year and a half later, he's ready to kind of start getting some minutes again. So now they're loaning him to Austin. As you know, the Brasileiro, like teams, they can't sit and wait around for people like that. So and they tend to, on average, have 30 to 40 slot people on their rosters. So they have a lot of guys in their team. A guy goes out like that, it's next man up. They usually have two guys in each depth on each position. So once he was out with that, a new guy came in, two new people started fighting for the job and ended up kind of getting it. So even though he's back now, that spot's going to be gone a year and a half out. So Corinthians are looking to offload him. They're picking Austin, where he's probably going to be behind Beto, another good Brazilian player who's playing pretty good on Austin right now as well. And as I've been telling people when they see this in panic, saying, I can't believe Palacios isn't coming back here. I think with a year and a half out, multiple surgeries, he's not going to be the Diego Palacios that left us. He's going to have a lot of work to do to get to that form. Probably it'll be next season before he even starts to get out there and start seeing some first team minutes. He's coming to a team that wants to rehab him. And Celso, Brazilian fans are a lot harsher than we are in MLS.
They don't fuck around.
And
that's all they got. It's all they got.
Yeah. If they even try to roll him out there in the team, the fans are going to throw a fit about it. And I don't think they even want to deal with that at the front office. And funny enough, not long ago, a bunch of the Corinthians supporters actually went and took over the front office about 2 months ago. They went right through the security gate, locked it up, and basically held a protest in there because they didn't like the way the team was going. And this is how Timao is. Timao fans do this.
Yeah, I mean, look, and if you're just getting started watching these games, I highly recommend it because, and if you don't have to watch the domestic league, I like just watching the Continental games, and you get enough of what's going on there. You get a little bit of a swing at the best teams and the best players, so you kind of understand sort of what that league's about, how different they are from from Major League Soccer, how spread they tend to play. How fast some of the young guys are and the footwork that they had. I mean, you saw once Flamengo put their starters in the game and the one young kid took on the midfield, we didn't even know where he was going to go with it. I don't think anybody thought he would just take the ball straight into the box and shoot and to score, right? So there's a little bit of an uncertainty what's going to happen, right? When you watch Brazilian soccer, right? And for whether you like it or not, the unpredictability of it, makes it exciting. Speaking of unpredictability, another player with that's worth mentioning for Timon, right, is Memphis Depay. Depay is one of the very few, I would say, foreigners that end up in Brazil from Europe. That just doesn't happen. So for Memphis to go play there, in Brazil. Yeah, actually, Edgar Davids played there, and Clarence Seedorf, I think, played there a long time ago. So we had a couple of dudes that did end up in Brazil, but it's not common, right? And for this guy to come and do what he does, he played really well for 6 months, but now it's falling into sort of the indiscipline. I'll do what I want, and this won't fly it over there. What do you think is going to happen with that? Because this is a guy that could very easily be impactful in Major League Soccer, and it's playing in Brazil right now. But it doesn't look like it's going to stay at Corinthians. Do you think you see any chance that he ends up here with us in Major League Soccer?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. I think there's almost a better chance that he goes back to the Dutch league after this. That seems to me it makes more sense for his trajectory. Maybe an MLS team is going to want to pick him up, but I mean he's going to be expensive player coming here, and it's when he showed up at Corinthians last season. I mean he immediately made a huge impact and became one of the most important players on the team. And as you said, how Brazilian fans don't fuck around either. Now that he's it's only been a couple of months that he's kind of stopped having that impact that he had when he came as their star. And already they're like, no, get somebody else. Bring us somebody else.
It's Where is the Flavor of the Week? And on your screen here, and this is the big one we wanted to talk to you guys about and break this player down. His name is Pedro, and if you remember him from the Flamengo game, he came off the bench, I believe so. Or did he start? I forget because they were rotating players.
He came off the bench, but he
came off the bench.
He's another guy.
I'll let you introduce him, Pedro,
Eric. I do have to shout out to Jose Martinez, who also plays on Corinthians. That his nickname is El Brujo, and we remember him in the final in 2022. He was the Philadelphia Union defensive mid who did the crying at us when they went ahead. So, but he's doing a solid job at Corinthians, and he gets a lot of minutes. So, Pedro is a guy that Flamengo is shopping around. They have a lot of firepower up there, and he's one immediately that I was like, if we could pick him up as a DP, this would be a no-brainer for MLS, and it would just strengthen our team in a lot of ways. He plays all across the front three. The guy hustles. He can press. He does everything. Although most guys who play up in the front three in Brazil, not named Hulk, are excellent at pressing as well. It's how you have to play in that team, in that league, because it's such a physical and fast team that if the forwards don't defend, it doesn't work out, because the attackers have so much skill there, and it takes everything you can for the defense, and the fans demand a total team ball there as well. So Pedro, man, I would love to see him in a black and gold uniform.
So a couple of things now. Now, full disclosure, who is Pedro? First off, he's a center forward. So I thought, it was like, Eric, what we can do here is let's just compare him with the one guy that we just brought and is being talked about, which is Gio Reyna. So it actually is two players that are worth about the same. 20 million, according to Transfer Market, believe what you want to believe about these numbers. The difference is the length of their contracts, right? As we talked about, Gio Reyna's contract is about to expire next year, whereas Pedro is under contract for at least a couple of years through the end of December. So Flamengo is going to be dictating a big transfer fee for this guy, right? If he's going to go anywhere. And that's where I believe it's where we're starting to lose already to the Brazilian league, right? Because the deep pockets that were not here before professionalization have begun. Like, Brazil was held back not by the fact that we had a league that didn't know what they were doing, like maybe it's happening here, but it was the teams were just, it was just your uncle and his buddy that were actually in charge of these very tough business decisions. And once it all got professionalized, money poured in from the venture capitalists, and the system just, you saw what happened. Flamengo is a European team playing in South America, so they're going to demand a lot of money for a guy that plays in the middle and has been playing under his contract. So as much as I love to see him here, Eric, I mean, let's just be honest. Who in Major League Soccer is going to spend $20 million for a center forward? Let's just be honest, right? It's a tough one.
Yeah, no, it is kind of tough, but he's unhappy at Flamengo.
But he's awesome.
No, he would rip this league up. Like, I mean, he would tear this league up. He has everything you want to see in a guy, and like when they had Gabby goal, like I wasn't that psyched on him, but Pedro, He's the guy you want as your number 9. If you're any MLS team, he's the guy you want at your 9. And so That would be great, but he was unhappy at Flamengo. He wants to move. His agent's been out there saying he wants to move. So that's the thing. Where is he going to go?
Looks like Gremio might be a suitor for him.
It could, yeah, because I don't think a European team is going to take a bite at him. I think he's going to stay in the Americas, and yeah, Gremio will be good. But Gremio has had a lot of financial difficulties as well. Like he seems to be a guy that if an MLS team wanted to snap him up, like maybe it wouldn't be 20 million just because he wants to go, but maybe he's a guy somebody can get for 15 or 16 and well worth it.
I mean, it would be exciting to see a guy like him here. The problem is for a center forward, right? You see, you got Sam Surridge and Ty Baribo, like guys that play comparable positions, and they're crushing it. So to make an investment of that size for a position that the replacement value can do it with way less salary, it's tough. So it's why I came to dislike the salary restrictions so much. While it was exciting when I first began watching this league because it was different, now I always think in terms of it. It's really like limiting what you can do, because even if you wanted to just piss the money away at Pedro, it would completely unravel on the rest of your positions. And you likely just be forced to buy these guys down like Toronto did, because they didn't know how to build a roster around those two Italian guys. So it's challenging to see that there's no way, shape, or form that we'll ever get a player like Pedro. Just not because we don't want him. It's just because that type of position just costs too much money for Major League Soccer roster. So it's the flaw of our league a little bit. I mean, I'm just crying a little bit about it because Gio Reyna can happen. Right, maybe Dortmund just gives us like a loan against the guy, and he becomes a DP. We pay his contract. He's off his books. And
no way! No way! No! They're not going to loan a guy with 1 year in his contract, because they're going to loan him right through the contract and they get nothing.
Yeah, well, maybe it's a loan with. Yeah, that's a good point, man. But
it's going to have
buy
to
a guy. Yeah,
they're
so that means
it's only going to be a sale, because otherwise anybody runs the clock out on that.
Oh my gosh! But it's going to be interesting. We just wanted to do something fun and compare what it would be to bring one of these top Brazilian players here with a guy that is being sought after by our club. Yeah, it looks like Gio Reyna. Think about also from a revenue standpoint, from just a jersey sales, right? If you bring Gio Reyna, a guy with U.S. men's national team roots here, he's an immediate top 10 jersey sales guy. This guy, people won't even know his name. He's going to know, why doesn't he have a last name? What is his last name? And then we're going to just be caught up on the fact that he doesn't have a last name, Eric. So that's probably why we're also not going to bring Pedro. And no other team will. We're just going to bring the Ty Baribos and the Sam Surges of the world, $5 million players, the $2 million players. Guys can outdo their contracts. They're looking for redemption. And Gio Reyna fits the bill, dude. Gio Reyna fits the bill more than I think about it, which is a sad thing to think, but maybe we're going to end up with him. Hey, before I get out of here, just let's check real quick. Again, we're just talking Brazilian soccer now. We're going to cut this segment out, make a little Brazilian, sideshow. And if people start watching it, maybe it will become its own thing. But if you're still here, we appreciate it. If you start watching it now, we're talking Brazilian soccer. But it's worth just talking about the fact that it started again, right? So we had the break for a long time with the Club World Cup, and the teams in Brazil did not play. But we're back to business in Brazil. Have you watched any of the games? Why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on while I put the standings up?
It's everything kind of shut down for Club World Cup, and a lot like MLS, the teams that participated in that are kind of like ramping back up into play, coming back home. One of the center backs I like, and I have some time, is Bruno Fukis, or he looks like Bruno Fuchs.
Yes.
And funny enough, he was a guy that I looked at way back in 2021 when he was playing on Internacional. And he was a guy at the time, he was 19. I was like, man, this would be a great U22 pickup. But he ended up going to Zenit for $5 million more than we would have paid. but he is now back in Brazil, and he had a great Club World Cup when Palmeiras had Murilo get injured, and then Rafael Vega got suspended. Like Fuchs pretty much played the whole tournament after Murilo got injured, and had a great tournament, including a very memorable clearance with his face off the goal line.
Yeah, I remember that. You actually mentioned this being a pretty memorable save. Yeah, he's an excellent player. I haven't watched this league as much as I wanted, but just to say where things stand. My team, São Paulo, are currently 15th, not playing good at all, risking relegation. You can see here we relegate 4 teams in Brazil, so it's a very tough league. Very easy to get relegated. Some of the big teams, sometimes end up relegated. São Paulo has never been there, so it would be a big blow for this team to end up out there. It's a team that has not had some of the investment that some of the teams that you're seeing on top of the sheet here have had. Bahia is part of the City Group. Same guys that run NCYFC, right? Palmeiras has a massive credit union behind them and a lot of personal invested money from
credit union is a nice way to say payday lender.
Payday lender, whatever you want to say. If you need to go into the game, just open an account. Red Bull, is a team that was nobody, but now has the Red Bull flag behind them. So it's a competitive league. Vasco da Gama just announced that they kept, I forgot the name of the player. They repatriated him from Liverpool, I believe. And he's staying with Vasco. And look at them. They can't get out of the 14th place. Just fired their coach as well. So, yeah, man. Coaches over there have a very short life. You fuck around, you get fired. It's just basically how it is. You better not lose too many games because someone else is going to coach your team. Market.
See, Mirassol up there, that's kind of one of those teams that usually sits around the second division. Bahia was as well until recent. And then Vitória is another one. Bahia's derby is against Vitória. And I'm sure they're very pleased to see Vitória down there. And, Mirassol is another one that stays down. But otherwise, the other teams are all powerhouses up there.
Yes. Flamengo is having an year.
Powerhouse.
Really good. Cruzeiro has the old Flamengo player, right? Gabigol. He's playing out
and
there.
Cruzeiro is wasn't that Ronaldinho's childhood team?
Ronaldo, right? So Ronaldo.
Oh yeah, Ronaldo. That's right.
An interest in that team, and Ronaldinho did play there a little bit, but Ronaldinho that you think of actually has played with Grêmio. That's right. Where Kike Oliveira end up. So yeah, that's the fun thing. You get to see a lot of the players that were MLS players now playing out there. The market there is hot between the two leagues. So it's fun to follow this league, to see some of the players that come and go through it. So we wanted to share some of that stuff with you. But Eric, hey man, it's been over an hour of section 128 here, but it's been fun to talk to you about LAFC. We did a lot.
And you had, it dropped out, but you had Kyle Georgie up there, and he is on a tear. Yeah. He's 11 goals, 2 assists in 12 matches in that league.
Yes, with Cruzeiro.
He's one I think that started to get rumored for Europe. Yeah, absolute beast. 23-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's if you know that market, you can make some serious damage, right, in bringing these players, but it's also very easy to take players that don't fit the system, right? Just because, hey, he's in Brazil, he can play in MLS, and it's not the case. Major League Soccer requires a certain kind of player, and we've seen plenty of these guys come here and just be complete duds and play really well over there. So, you just never know. Just really good soccer to be watched. So, we're gonna keep talking about it. Maybe we'll see if a couple of those players from Brazil end up in MLS, that we can talk more about it. But for now, that's all we have, man. But it's good talking to you. We might do a show about Carson on Thursday. Almost certain we'll do something, even if it's on the Spaces. But we will get together to talk Carson and see what happened after this Wednesday game against Minnesota. My friend, it's been a pleasure talking to you as usual, and we'll see you later this week.
Later, Celso.
All right. Peace out, guys. LA is black and gold. This is Los Angeles. Let's